He treats his actors like horses.
That is Tom Hanks talking about Clint Eastwood. According to almost every actor who has worked for him, it is accurate. Matt Damon spent 6 months preparing for a film with him. He asked for a second take, and this is what Clint answered.
Why? You want to waste everybody's time?
Judi Dench had a whole scene filmed without knowing the camera was on. Sienna Miller finished her first day on American Sniper and found out it was already in the movie. These are Oscar winners. Every one of them walked onto a Clint Eastwood set and found out the rules they had worked under their whole careers did not apply. This is what happened to them. It starts with the fact that he does not say action.
So when you're in a Clint Eastwood movie, you don't even know the camera's rolling, and you just hear over your shoulder, "All right, go ahead."
That is the cue. A level voice, 4 words, and the scene is now happening. At the other end, there is no cut either. Hank says the habit goes back to Rawhide.
When he was doing, there's a great show, Rawhide. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Rawhide. He played Rowdy Yates, a Western. And he had all these old directors there who directed movies that made a big deal about yelling action.
Eastwood tells it differently. He remembers directors on sound stages with megaphones, screaming for quiet, and noticing the room only got louder. Shouting is a bad way to run a room. So how does anyone know when to start? Robert Lorenz was Eastwood's assistant director and producer for years. He told the Directors Guild of America's own quarterly that the sets are so quiet, new people cannot tell what is happening. They ask whether the rehearsal got rolled. They ask whether they are rolling right now. The camera starts on a look, sometimes a flick of a finger. Eastwood built that quiet deliberately. He told the Directors Guild he wanted his departments talking to each other on headsets, rather than building the usual crescendo of quiet, rolling, action. He got the idea from watching how the Secret Service communicate. Everybody knows what is happening. Nobody in the room hears any of it.
We'll go over to here so we can see him looking at himself, and then he comes back and he turns and what have you. It's all just, you just gotta let it unfold.
The announcement has been replaced by a gesture, and a crew that has worked together for decades knows how to read it.
I've always heard it was like one take, or he's quick.
Sometimes the camera is already going. If the rehearsal is good, Eastwood rolls on it rather than ask an actor to do again what they have already done well. Nobody tells you. The output is on the record. Mystic River was scheduled for 43 shooting days and finished in 39, wrapping around lunch on 7 or 8 of them. His editor Joel Cox told the DGA that an Eastwood day might contain 35 or 37 separate setups. Play Misty for Me, his first film as a director, came in 4 days early and about $50,000 under budget. So you walk in with no cue, no confirmation, and a real chance that the thing you thought was practice is now in the finished film. Matt Damon spent 6 months on the accent. 6 months with a dialect coach called Tim Monich, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, for the part of Francois Pinard in Invictus.
So I spent 6 months. There's this great dialect coach named Tim Monich, very famous in our world, and he's wonderful, and I've known him for a very long time. And Tim would come, I was living in Miami at the time, and he would come, and I had a little office over the garage, and he would come in from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, we would work on this accent.
He arrived in 2009 with 3 or 4 ways he wanted to play it. He did the first one.
Meanwhile, I've done this so many thousands of times. I have, a number of different ways that I'm thinking of maybe doing the scene. So he goes, cut, print, move on.
Damon pushed back.
I want to do another one. I mean,
I wasn't even in costume.
That was the first one. Like, you want to do it. And he goes, why? You want to waste everybody's time?
Oh my God.
6 months of preparation ended by 5 words. Damon rewrote a speech from that film 27 times. He had a speech to deliver, and he did not think it was working. So he took it home for the weekend and rewrote it, then rewrote it again. By his count, he went through 27 versions before he was satisfied. He compared the final one to the original. They were identical.
We were shooting it the following Tuesday or whatever, and I said to him, hey, boss, that scene on Tuesday, do you mind if I tinker with the dialogue? I've been working on it, but I think I can figure out a kind of a better way to say it. And he goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. I thought you were gonna change it and fix it. And I said, yeah, it's a funny story. I go, I wrote it and I rewrote it all weekend. I wrote probably 27 drafts, and then I got it perfect. And I looked back and it was exactly the same as it originally was.
When he told Eastwood, Eastwood said the same thing had happened to him on Unforgiven. 2 weekends, a stack of pages, and the discovery that the instinct was right the first time. That is the whole argument for the method, told by a man it had been used against. The year after Invictus, Damon watched him spend 40 takes on one scene.
We must have done 40 takes with this little boy because we were trying to get this. It was this kind of huge moment in the film, and we were trying to get this stuff out of him.
Hereafter, 2010, a scene with a 9-year-old who was not a professional actor. They did about 40 takes.
And so it was like his whole mentality was your crew will go to the ends of the earth for you as long as you're not taxing them on every shot.
So the 40 takes exist, they just are not for you. Eastwood spends them on a 9-year-old who has never acted before. He does not spend them on an Academy Award winner who has had 6 months to get ready. The better you are supposed to be, the fewer you get. And that is the part nobody warns you about on the drive in, which is exactly why it caught out the people it caught out. Tom Hanks has 2 Best Actor Oscars and has worked with Spielberg, Zemeckis, and Ron Howard. In November of 2016, he sat on Graham Norton's couch to promote Sully. Norton asked what Eastwood was like to direct for.
But this time the director's Clint Eastwood.
Oh, dear.
So how did that dynamic pan out?
Well, you don't want to get one of those Clint Eastwood looks from him, you know? You know, I can't do it, but, you know, where he just kind of like raises one, he looks at you and he like...
Then he said it plainly, intimidating as hell. That is the most trusted man in American movies, admitting on British television that a man in his 80s made him nervous by talking quietly. Bradley Cooper got the whole education, starting before he arrived on set. Eastwood called him about American Sniper.
And he's like, let's make this fuck.
Cooper then drove out to location, expecting the entourage that comes with a legend.
And I expected him to have like, I don't even know what I expected. It was just him and like an old school, like, bowling bag with his clothes, and we checked into the like a motel.
Eastwood was checked into the same place, eating a yogurt on his own. The next morning, Cooper's phone rang.
Phone rang in the morning. He's like, "Want to get some yogurt?"
Cooper had also gained a significant amount of weight for the role, which for most directors would be a conversation.
All right, so Clint, I'm gonna put a plan together. There's this guy I know is a trainer, and he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, I mean, Chris Kyle was 240 pounds. I was like, and he's from Texas. And I was like, I'm 185 pounds from Philly. And he's like, all right. And then we never had a conversation, never talked about it, ever.
That was the entire discussion. It never came up again, except once, at dinner, when Eastwood found a way to comment on method acting without commenting on it.
So we would be like eating dinner like after work, and he was like, Bradley's gonna have the steak.
Then came the working method, and Cooper's summary of it is the cleanest anybody has given.
I learned from him, like, you don't have to say action. Like, he never said action, he never said cut. He shot the rehearsal.
Sienna Miller's first day on that film lasted about 90 seconds. She plays Cooper's wife. The scene is her running to him as he comes home. Eastwood explains it. Miller assumes they are walking through it before they film. She does the run. She does the hug. Eastwood tells her he will see her tomorrow.
Sienna Miller's first day on set, I remember it was on the tarmac, and she was, everybody's so excited, and you're in a Clint Eastwood movie. She's like, Clint's like, yeah, you're gonna, go up there and hug him. He's coming on, he's been away, and and she's like, okay, so we're doing it. She's like, okay, I got it. He's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, nah, I shot it.
She had not been told the camera was running. Nobody on those sets resents him, and 2 more details from Cooper explain why.
I remember our first day on A Star Is Born, he was at Coachella, and he's like, what time's lunch? And he just drove his 1988 Audi to the set. He came and he had lunch with us with the crew. Like, he's just his own guy. And I really learned and studied the way he walks through life.
Years later, on Cooper's own film, Eastwood turned up driving a 1988 Audi he had owned for decades and ate lunch sitting with the crew. And on American Sniper, during the scenes where Cooper is lying in a sniper position, holding absolute stillness, Eastwood heckled him.
Is like right there. And I was like, just let's talk through it, Clint, as we're doing it, And he's like, there he is, you little son of a...
The whole crew was laughing. That is the man who will not give you a second take. Judi Dench had the same thing happen with even less warning. She was in bed on the set of J. Edgar, in character, papers in hand, with Leonardo DiCaprio beside her. They were talking, not performing, talking, the way 2 actors do while a crew works around them. She asked when they were going to shoot it and was told it was already done. She had not started yet. Eastwood decided the conversation was better than the take would have been and took it. Kathy Bates has an Oscar and has been working since the 70s. She played Richard Jewell's mother in 2019 and told Peter Travers on ABC how it went.
I was a nervous wreck.
Part of that was wanting to be good for him. Part of it was stranger. Eastwood lets the camera run past the end of the written dialogue. The page stops and the scene does not, so you stay in it, improvising, waiting for a cut that has not come.
Well, this is what I love about him, and I didn't realize this, is that he just lets the camera keep going, and we just keep going.
Marcia Gay Harden had the opposite problem on Mystic River, a scene in the rain, and she played her character crying the way the sky was crying, big and open and matching the weather. Eastwood came over and quietly told her to take it way down. She adjusted. Celeste was not the rain. Then he gave her the second note. Marcia, he said, she is not even the mist. 2 sentences at conversational volume, and an Oscar winner learned her entire emotional scale for the scene was off by a factor of 10. The cast of that film got nervous enough to do something about it.
I like to do my homework. I like to walk on a set and, be ready to step up to the plate.
Kevin Bacon likes to prepare. So do Sean Penn and Tim Robbins. None of them were getting a rehearsal.
We stopped and went, wow, we're not having any rehearsal? I mean, maybe we need to rehearse a little amongst ourselves.
So they built their own. They met at night, in hotel rooms, and read the script to each other, with a Boston actor named Kevin Chapman sitting in to police the accents.
So completely with Clint's blessing, we would get together at night in somebody's hotel room, and we would read through the script.
Eastwood knew. He was fine with it. 3 of the best actors of their generation ran a private rehearsal process after hours because the official one did not exist. Penn found out the other way on the same picture. He told Rolling Stone in 2009 that Eastwood offered him a rehearsal, let him run it, and then mentioned the camera had been going the whole time. Penn put a number on it in that interview. 3 takes was the most he ever got on that film, and 3 was unusual. 3. In the performance that won him the Academy Award, Meryl Streep paid the method the strangest compliment available. She made The Bridges of Madison County with him in 1995. Years later, she needed a model for Miranda Priestly in The Devil Wears Prada, the most quietly terrifying boss in modern movies. She used Eastwood, and what she took was the quiet rather than the toughness. He never raises his voice, she said. And the one time she saw him do it, people were unsettled for days afterward. Scott Eastwood sat down with Dax Shepard on Armchair Expert in August of 2026. Shepard asked whether his father is as alpha in real life as he looks on screen.
Alphaness to keep him.
I think everybody has got a lot of respect for him, so I don't think people try to...
They don't act up around him.
Then he told a story about Kevin Costner, and he flagged it himself before he started.
And Kevin, they're both starring in this movie. My dad is directing it.
A Perfect World, 1993. Costner at the peak of his fame, and by Scott's telling, not coming out of his trailer.
And apparently Kevin wouldn't come out of his trailer for some reason. And
the message came back that Costner was staying put.
So he just said, well, send him home then.
Oh,
and everyone said, what do you mean? Well, he's in the scene. Yeah. Send him home.
Somebody pointed out the obvious problem. Costner was in the scene.
They just went to Kevin and said, hey, you're going to go home for the day. You don't need me. And he said, well, what do you mean? I'm in the scene. He said, well, I guess you're not anymore.
Oh, boy.
The train left the station.
Clint changed that.
Costner was on set the next day, ready to work.
And so, that's the pecking order.
Yeah.
And so I think the next day he was on set, ready to go. He's moving quick, and you better come ready to work. You better know your shit.
Yeah.
Which is the actual rule underneath all of it. That is a family story told by a man who was 7 years old at the time, and he said himself he was paraphrasing it. Take it as what the Eastwood house believes happened, not as a transcript. Shepard adds a piece of his own, and it gets the same label.
Your dad also infamously does like half a take, right? This is I've had friends who have done his movies. I've even heard stories where it's like they're doing like kind of a rehearsal, and they're going to do a pyro rehearsal, and they shoot that, and he's like, okay, next thing.
That is Shepard repeating what friends told him, not a documented incident, but it tells you what the reputation has turned into. The people who liked working this way say the same thing in different words. Judi Dench, who lost a scene to a conversation, calls the hours heaven. 9 in the morning, finished by 4:30, home. Kathy Bates, who started as a nervous wreck, ended up with a nickname for him, She calls him the actor whisperer. Laura Linney calls what she learned from him invaluable, and the word she uses for it is trust. She learned to rely on the work she had done before she arrived, instead of standing on a set waiting for a director to keep adjusting her. Morgan Freeman was playing Nelson Mandela on that same film, and he got exactly the same treatment. One take. An Academy Award winner, playing one of the most recognizable men on earth, and the camera moved on. He has never had a bad word to say about it. Freeman put it in one sentence to RTE in 2023. He does not direct actors, he directs movies. Which means he hires people who already know their job, puts the camera where it needs to be, and gets out of the way. Hilary Swank won Best Actress for $1 Million Baby, and at the 2005 Academy Awards, the orchestra started playing her off before she was finished.
You can't do that because I haven't gotten to Clint yet. I saved him for the end.
She stopped the orchestra. She had saved him for the end.
Clint Eastwood, thank you for allowing me to go on this journey with you. Thank you for believing in me. You're my Makushla.
Eastwood's own explanation is less romantic than any of this.
I like to see what everybody does instinctively. I like to see what the instincts bring to it. And then after a while, we can fiddle with it.
He told the Directors Guild, what he is protecting is the sense that the dialogue is happening for the first time. After enough repetitions, there is usually nothing left to gain, and he would rather have the first time than the fourth.
If you go right away, and if I can go, and I've done that, I mean, I can do it if necessary. You go in and say, okay, I want you to come over here, I want you to hang up your coat, and I want you to say this as you're walking across to the mirror, and talk to yourself in the mirror as you're combing your hair, and walk out of the room. You can do that, but sometimes you just say, well, let's see what happens. Just go ahead.
He is not incapable of running a set the other way. He has done it, and decided it was worse. To CBS on the same film, he put it in the line, "If you are afraid to take risks in anything in life, it is just boredom." There is a reason a studio tolerates a director who works like this. J. Edgar was a period biopic with aging makeup and 2 major stars. Eastwood told the Los Angeles Times in November of 2011 that it cost $35 million. In the same conversation, DiCaprio pointed out that studios had almost stopped making adult dramas above about $30 million. The screenwriter, Dustin Lance Black, told Variety that the way Eastwood makes films was the reason that budget was possible at all. Letters from Iwo Jima, a war film shot in 2 languages, Eastwood put at $12 million. So the quiet, the tiny signals, the one take. It is a philosophy about acting, and it is also the reason films like that get made at all. There is a real cost to working this way, and it is worth saying plainly. The method moves risk off the schedule and onto the actor. You get freshness. You lose the safety net, the 4 attempts, the ability to choose. Hanks felt that as intimidation. Bacon and Penn felt it enough to build rehearsals at night. Damon felt it the moment all that preparation met a man who already had what he needed. Not one of them says the finished performance suffered. Not one of them calls it comfortable either. Sean Penn said it twice, 6 years apart. Around the release of Mystic River in 2003, he said Eastwood sort of waves his hand and a movie gets made. 6 years later, to Rolling Stone, he had thought about it more. How he makes a movie, Penn said, is a mystery to me. The strange part is that there is no mystery in the mechanics. The lighting is done before anyone arrives. His crew has worked together for decades. The coverage is minimal. The signals are tiny. Preparation has been moved off the shooting day and onto the actor, months earlier, where nobody sees it. All of that is knowable. What Penn is describing is something else. A man can build that entire apparatus and then stand next to the camera appearing to do almost nothing. Every one of them walked onto that set expecting a director. What they found was a room so completely organized that the man running it never had to raise his voice, never had to explain himself, and almost never had to ask twice. So I want to hear from you. 6 months of preparation behind you, he prints the first take and starts walking away. Do you ask for another one? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories about the people behind the films you grew up with, subscribe. There is a new one every week.